Well, hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Redeem for Time podcast. I was just sharing with Jeanette, our guest today, that we've been doing a lot of guest episodes. I hope you guys have really enjoyed these. So, A, you're not just hearing me, but I hope you like that too. But just because God has brought so many amazing women across my path that are called and so passionate about what they have been called to do by the Lord. And so that's why I love featuring people like Jeanette Peterson, who's our guest today. Jeanette and I got to meet in person at an event a couple of months ago. You may have heard me say that a couple of times now with several guests. So here's just a plug. If you can get to in person events, do it because there's something about being in the room with people that leads to connection and collaboration and just opportunities to serve one another. And I'm excited for my audience to get to know you, Jeanette. So tell us a little bit about you. And first, we want to hear about you outside of business. So, like, what all
Yeah.
are you juggling in this season of life
Oh,
in your
girl.
neck of the woods?
Well, what am I juggling? Let's see. I am a Girl Scout co-leader. I am a homeschool mom. I am very active in my church. I'm the host. They do have like they call it hosting, stage hosting.
Oh,
I'm the
nice.
stage host for church. We also run a small group in our home. And then on top of that, like I'm a military spouse and veteran, and my husband is active duty in the Air Force, and I'm just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
From Georgia.
Plenty of things going on. Who has time to be bored, right? And what I
Yes.
love is that you're doing all those things and you're also building a business to help others be successful at what they're doing, right? So tell us a little bit more about how God has uniquely called you to serve others through your business. And we would love to hear. There's always a little bit of a story. So as much as far as you want to take us back as to how we got you from where you were to where you are now, helping people in this area.
Yeah, so it was one prayer. One prayer changed my entire life and trajectory. I know that sounds kind of insane that it was just one prayer, and I can go back to that one prayer, but I was struggling with infertility, and me and my husband were not on the same page. We were not in a good place, and I was just at my wit's end. I was control freak, right? Tracking, checking my temperatures, checking my fluids, doing all the things it says it takes to make a baby, making sure we're doing it exactly the right time, lifting, doing all the things, all the things. And it just wasn't happening. And so this was the first prayer that I had prayed in a long time that was actually surrendering. Like this is my
Mhm.
first actual surrender prayer. And I was like, God, I'm done. I am absolutely done with trying to make a baby. If I'm going to make a baby, if you want me to have a baby, I'm done trying. This is on you now. Like, I'm done. I'm completely removing myself from this equation. Like, I will show up to the appointments. I will do the things you're supposed to do to make a baby, but I'm not trying anymore. I'm done. And like a month and a half later, I was pregnant.
He was like,
And
thank you
then,
for getting out of the way, and
yes,
now I can work.
finally,
Right?
now you're listening.
Yes.
But he also knew I was not supposed to be in the military. So he like removed my job from me. We moved locations. It was like within 6 months, I was pregnant, had a new job, which I had been in the military for 11 years. And I left because of medical reasons. I wasn't supposed to get out, so I didn't know what was going to happen. And my husband applied to a special duty job, and so we moved from Virginia, where we had been there for 5 years, bought a house, to Las Vegas, where I had never ever wanted to go because why would I want to go to Las Vegas? And then I was baptized there. So like that was the beginning of just the trajectory that God took me on of this
Mm,
constant me trying and then surrendering,
mm,
trying and then surrendering,
mm.
trying and then surrendering. And then during that process, not only did I learn how to surrender and teaching people that, I also learned to use the skills that the military gave me, which is the tech part and helping them and seeing people online being like almost paralyzed by it, being like, oh, I don't know how to launch this. I don't know how to do my email sequences. I don't know how to make my calendar work. And I was like, this is
Mm.
what I do. This is so easy. Let me just help you. I can help you do that part. And so throughout the years of the different businesses that we have, because I feel like when you first come into entrepreneurship, it's not the final product,
No, not at
right?
all.
So through those different avenues, it was always me helping people with their tech and then learning about their heart and trying to help them change their heart because the heart to me is what God wants. God wants your heart. He wants that surrender. He wants you to depend on him. And I had to learn that the hard way. And then eventually I'm not as hard-headed now, but like I'm doing that and showing people how to do that in different ways.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why we say around here that it's your busyness is not a disordered calendar, it's a disordered heart. everything about our current situation is reflective of what our heart is chasing after or what it's loving, And so I love that. And just that process of try, surrender, try, surrender. Like I've been on that roller coaster too. And yeah, it's like, why do we do that? I mean, like, it's like we know that God can and will do exceedingly abundantly beyond all we could ask or imagine. And yet, we still keep like doing the trying thing and trying to
Yeah.
make it happen or trying to make it happen our way and things like that. Like, what do you think it is as you've now worked with others?
Mhm.
What have you seen in other people, or maybe even in yourself? That's like what keeps us on that roller coaster longer than we'd like to once we finally figure it out and get off. But
I think it's control.
mm,
Control, which comes from trauma or other things like that, and trust, not trusting the unseen God because you
mm,
can't see him and you can't talk to him like I'm talking to you.
yeah,
So, like those two things is control and trust. And once you realize you can control nothing and you heal some of that trauma, then you can go forward and like actually do these things. Like you're saying, it's a heart thing. And then also, like, just releasing all of the control. Like, this, hey, if God brought me here to do these things, I'm just gonna do what God tells me to do, and that's the easy part. It's not on me if I fail, it's on him because he
mm,
told me to do this thing, right? So
mm,
if I'm doing the things that I'm walking out and supposed to be doing, then I have nothing to worry about because
yeah,
God says,
yeah,
if he is for you, who can be against you? And so if I'm following him and he's for me, I ain't got nothing to worry about. It's not my problem, it's
yeah.
his problem.
Right? And yet it's still this like beautiful combination that I don't fully understand of like his part and our part. And it's not 50-50. It's not even 80-20. It's probably not even 90-10. I don't even know what it is, but it's like, there is still this like, I'm working like it all depends on me, but praying like it all depends on him. I mean, I've heard so many other ways of like describing it, like, right? But also this like open-handedness of, James 4 talks about, who are you to say, I'm going to go to this city and do this thing and build this business and stay there a year. And he's like, what do you even know? Like, you don't even know what tomorrow holds. So it's not that we don't make plans, but it's I will do these things if the Lord wills. And then it's that open-handedness, on there. So sometimes I think,
I
he
was
gets
actually
frustrated with how long it takes us. And yet, like, we know that he is compassionate and gracious and long suffering and yeah, not wanting us to stay there. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I actually hate that quote of pray
Mm,
like it depends, like work like it depends on you and pray like it depends on God.
mm,
Because I can do a lot of things. Like
sure.
I just
Yeah.
listed off all these things that I'm doing, right? And this is me surrendered. Like imagine if I was not surrendered. I
Yeah.
like to say, pray harder than you work. Because if I'm
Ooh.
praying harder than I'm working, I know that it's God's, right?
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
praying and trying to be surrendered to him the entire time, because like I can do a lot of things. So if I
Yeah.
pray like it depends on God, I might not fully trust
Mm,
that God's gonna do it.
mm,
I can do a lot of things, girl.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can't I can't
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, you're a powerhouse, and we're going to get into how you're helping people do that. And I'm also reminded of John 15 that says, "Apart from me, you can do nothing." And I don't want
Yes.
to be the branch that's running around in the forest trying to find what I think is the best tree because I ain't producing no fruit if I'm doing that. It's the just abide and let me do the thing, but you've got to do the remaining, when it comes there. So
Yeah.
okay, so you talked about these people that you're helping, and so I want to dive into why they're struggling, why women are struggling with these things. Building online businesses. I mean, what an amazing tool we have back in the day that would not have been an option. It would have been only
Yeah.
brick and mortar, only person to person, and things like that. So there are so many benefits to it, and yet you just described that like it still can be a struggle. So like, what are those things that cause people to struggle when they're building an online business?
I feel like there's so many things, right? So like when you first come online, there's this imposter syndrome because
Mm.
it's like you're walking into this room full of all these people with their running around like chickens with their head cut off. Like, have you ever seen Wreck-It Ralph, the new one, where he's like in this place that's the internet. He's on the internet and like there's pop-ups popping in his face all day. And that's what it feels like when you're on the internet and you're like, this is this I can't do this,
Right.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's very hard. So they don't know what it is, but they see these like patterns, right? Like you were talking about patterns. They see these patterns of what other people are doing, and so they think they have to do that. And so they don't know who they are, what they're serving, why they're doing the things, and they're just trying to like echo everybody else. But really, it's when
Mhm.
they are able to get out of that mindset of I am uniquely made. I am, God knows every hair on my head. And because of that, I have a special mission here on earth. And I have to figure out what that is for me, but it's not what they're doing. And
Mm.
everybody's direction of how they're supposed to do their business is different. And so part of the strategy that I do is having this Holy Spirit led business strategy meeting where we're talking about all the things. We're walking with the Holy Spirit. We're asking God for direction, asking God to show us what their strategy is. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And I can help you once you know what that is, but I don't want you to like need to be on all the platforms because you feel like
Yeah.
Amy Porterfield's on all the platforms or whoever is on all the platforms. I
Yeah.
love them and they're great for strategy, but they're not building your business. It's different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we don't see the back end, right? We don't see the amount of
No.
money that's going into it or the team, size of the team, or just the number of people. And then I think yeah, I think the internet is, while it's so great to have information at our fingertips, it also just brings that comparison, so much quicker. I remember, so back in the day, I remember like my 17 magazine coming in the mail once a month. That was when I compared myself to anyone other than the girls that were walking in my high school hallways. But like it's like now we've got the internet
Yes.
that hello, first thing in the morning you start scrolling and you're like, wow, look at that, how amazing of a mom she
Yeah.
is. Wow, she's an amazing wife. She's an amazing business leader. Oh my goodness, she's leading a ministry. And it's like, yeah, no wonder either we don't get around to working because we're too busy watching everybody else, or like
Hmm.
you said, we like try to just mimic everybody else and wonder why it doesn't work. So
Yep.
now I know that you are specifically helping people like, especially at a certain threshold of their business. So is
Hmm.
my understanding like they're already at 250K and now they're trying to go beyond that, or are you helping them get
Yeah.
to that 250K?
Yeah. It's like right at that 250K. They don't know why they're not being able to reach. And a lot of times, honestly, it's a heart issue. Sometimes it's a heart
Mhm.
issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a delegation issue. They don't know how to delegate. They've never had a team before. They're micromanaging or they've got a lot of separate contractors, but not a cohesive team. So we're trying to create
Mm.
what that looks like and create that system in their business. So
Yeah.
then we also are automating like what does that look like and how can we help like change the trajectory of your business through automation? How can we like I've got one business owner who like she's still processing her Stripe payments herself. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like put that on auto. Like you don't need to go in there every Wednesday. But that's also, is it a control issue? Is it a control issue?
Yeah.
So
There's the
we have to
heart
work
check.
through yeah. So we got to work through some of those things before we're able to automate, delegate, or maybe we just need to eliminate. Maybe we just need to get rid of some of this stuff. Is this serving you to get to that next level? Let's say you've got 3 courses, a coaching program, and a membership. What is actually God calling you to do to steward? Is it the thing that makes the most money? Maybe. Is it the thing that makes the least money? I don't know. But we need to figure that out and then get rid of some of this other stuff that's not serving well because you can't have all these different pieces of your business if you're expecting to get to 250,000. Like I was
Yeah.
talking about Amy Porterfield. She's got one core course. That's it. It's not like she's got like 1,500 courses. She's not doing one-on-one coaching. She's got one course that she sells once a year and that's it. And she's really dialed down on that. So think about what those big name people are doing, and it's not creating an offer for every client. And it's okay to say no to some clients. That's another thing that once you get to 250, you think, I got to keep doing the things that I was doing to get to 100K, which might have been
Mm.
creating specific offers for different people. But it's not that when you're trying to scale.
Yeah, yeah, because it's like when you scale, it's going to have to be this system of duplication. It's going to have to be the system, like you said, of
Yes.
automation, so that things can exponentially go and not otherwise. I would think that like we're putting the lid on our ability as much as we're trying
Yeah.
to micromanage or control or keep things scrappy. Right. So I like to say there's like this shift that has to happen as a CEO where you go from scrappy to like strategic, where you go from
Yeah.
like things are kind of scattered and kind of maybe throwing spaghetti at the wall. And for a time, it works to kind of get your feet under you and figure out what you're doing. But then you got to like streamline and systemize, and all of
Hmm.
that. So you talked about them as the three shuns we talked about before we started, them being automation, delegation, and elimination being those three things that I mean, we obviously need that up till 250K, but really once you go beyond. So tell me, like, maybe just real quick, give us a quick rundown on each one of those. And then why is that so essential, especially if you're going from
Yeah.
that 250K up to, whatever that next level is?
Yeah, so delegation for me is more than just like outsourcing, right? Because you think that outsourcing and you're just like, do I want to buy a VA? Do I want to pay for a VA? Do you want like what does that look like? But delegation is really how can I eliminate these tasks that are repeatable and easy that I don't need to be my brain specifically as the thought leader of my business does not need to be in. So
Mm,
like think about it as your household. For me, that is laundry, the dishes, and cooking. I don't need to do any of those things because I don't need like my husband loves to cook, so I'm lucky there. But like I don't need Jeanette to do that. Jeanette does not have to do that for my house to be clean, right? It does not have to take a Jeanette task. And
yeah.
I think the same thing as sometimes creating social media. In fact, creating graphics for me would take me longer and they would not be as good if I outsource it to somebody else. But it's
Mm,
also like knowing who's better at it. There's a book called Who Not How by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he talks about how to find a who to do the things. And
okay.
also there's another book, Biblical Secrets from the Bible by Dr. It's Rabbi something Lippin,
I think I've seen
Rabbi
that.
Lippin.
Mhm.
Yeah. And he talks about how in Jewish culture, they've got a guy for that. Like they're
Mm,
not the ones that are fixing their car. They've got a guy that fixes the car. They've got a guy that's going to do the plumbing because it's in the biblical terms, it recognizes the specialties that people have. So while
mm,
I do automations, right, and that's my jam, and I love complex puzzles and how to make things work and run, I'm not going to delegate that part of my business because I enjoy it. But I
sure.
am going to delegate copywriting. I am going to delegate podcast stuff, like just things that I know that would serve me better, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So when you're delegating, you got to think about how can I create a system that somebody else can do? So
Mm,
I'm having SOPs, I'm having all these different points of this is a key indicator that yes, this is success. This is not success. This is what this looks like. This is how long it should take. And having those plans so that way when I'm giving it to somebody, they know exactly what to do and I don't have to overly explain it or hold their hand because I've already written it out.
yeah. I love this because it's like, what are the tasks that I'm not the only person on the planet who can do? Guess what? There are things, like you said, because of your strategic brain or because of a specific specialty that you have, or just a passion or a love that, like, those are the CEO tasks, the ones that you want to put your brain on, your time on, all of that. And then those other things, like you said, a lot of it is repeatable. A lot of it is
Mhm.
this just, like kind of going on automation, whether it's a person who's making that system happen or whether you're creating a system that does that. So give us that picture on the other side. So like, that person's coming to you and she's scrappy and she's scattered and she's like doing all the things and she's got all these balls in the air and things like that. And she's, like you said, maybe grasping, trying to control. What do things look like on the other side? Like once she has some of this automation, delegation, elimination, yeah, how are things different in her business? But then also, how does that have a ripple effect on, her life and her heart, like you've talked about as well?
Yeah. So I've got one client that I'm thinking of specifically. When I'm in her business with her and we're going through and we're creating these SOPs, we're creating these different processes. Like at the end of the call, she's just like where her shoulders are down, her body language is at ease because she knows that she needs this, but this is not a fun task for her to walk through this. Like I can see it, like she does not enjoy this, but she knows on the other side that this is going to be easy. So
Mm,
she's got a couple of contractors, and I've kind of made a like an org chart underneath them, so that way one's taking this kind of business, one's taking this kind of stuff, and they're just running their systems. And she's so grateful that she doesn't have to be in the weeds. She's like, how do I not hear all the different things that are happening, all the problems? I do want to be able to check them, but I need somebody that's going to be in charge of all the things. I'm
and
like,
I love
okay, well,
that.
let's do that.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
like
creating that vision first and creating the systems around her.
yes. And I mean, you can look for two different types of people. One is just a box checker. So someone who's literally going to push the button, check the box, like they're not thinking. But like you said, then you're going to have them coming to you with a lot of questions. And I think this is how I work with my interns is yes, I give them the system, but then I also say, and these are the bigger goals. These are the KPIs that we're looking for. What do you think? What are your ideas? What have you seen that's worked? Like, let's go study, these maybe some other people in the way they're doing it and like getting them to also do some strategic thinking as well and let them do some problem solving so they're not bringing everything to me. Of
Yeah.
course, we're the final check or whatever that is, but yeah, I think that can be a really helpful thing as well because there may be great ideas that somebody else has that we just wouldn't think of based on what our awareness was or that type of thing. So yeah,
Plus,
yeah.
they have buy-in then. They want
Sure.
to. They're like, okay, this is part of my project. I created this process, so I
Mhm.
want to see it through. I've got buy-in and I want to be here and I
Yeah,
want to see, you know what I'm saying? It just changes their heart posture on, am I having a job that I'm just doing these things, just
sure.
making these widgets, or am I creating something in this ecosystem? And that's what they
Mhm.
really want. That's what
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
wants.
Yeah. You want to feel part of something. You want them to be in on
Yeah.
your vision. I mean, it's still not going to ever be the same probably because it's whatever it is, it's your baby, your brainchild, your thing that you've been working on. But yeah, I think bringing them along can be so, so amazing. So what would you say to that person who's listening today? Maybe she's at that 250 kind of, tipping point, or maybe she's still working her way somewhere, below that. What would you say to encourage her? Like, let's just assume that she is right now kind of scrappy Sally doing a lot of different things and doing a lot of it herself and things like that. What would you say to her to help her maybe to let go of control or help her to kind of start thinking at this next level, even if she's not there yet, so that she can accelerate her growth there?
First, I would tell her, you're not alone. Like, this is not something that is new. Like, everybody has to go through this. If they've ever created something from scratch online, there's a lot of stuff, right? So, the first thing I would encourage you to do is just try and get organized. And sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. So, just get organized with what you've got and like try and make an SOP. An SOP is really standard operating procedure, is a checklist of what you need to do, what needs to happen for everything else to happen. And so I'm working with another client who's not quite at that 250K mark, but that's what we're doing. We're creating those processes so that way when she does hire somebody, she can hand stuff off. And sometimes you're so busy with all these different clients and projects that you forget in your mind, oh, did I do this one thing with this person? Oh, did I do this? And so we created this in, it's called Monday, which is a project management tool that has all of her clients and what step they're at. So she doesn't have to remember. It's somewhere where she can, oh yeah, I need to do this with this person. And it's got dates and everything. Just get organized so that way you know what everything is. And when you do hire somebody, when you do grow to that stage, if you want to, that you're ready. Like you've got those foundations it's set.
Yeah. And it's all out of your head because I think that's what often happens in the
Yes.
beginning is it's all in your head and you maybe aren't dropping balls and because you've got the system up here, but you're never going to be able to hand it off to somebody until you get it out of your head and down into either a program or even on paper to start with, just so that, yeah, somebody else could actually follow the process and things like that. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah, such good work because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to grow to the higher levels is really thinking strategically like a CEO and having the right people that are working alongside us and the right systems that are doing that. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing with us today. I love what you're doing. I love your passion for it. I love the fact that like God used all these different experiences, especially the military, to give you the skill set such that you could help people take with those same skills in a different setting and things like that. So as we wrap up, tell us a little bit about where we can find you and what would be a good next step if someone wants to know more and wants to look into working with you or follow you or things like that. Where would you send them?
So first, I would tell them to find me on Facebook. I used to be on Instagram, but I'm not so much over there anymore. So find me on Facebook, friend me. I'll probably send you a DM asking you some silly question like, "What is your favorite holiday meal?" or something, because I love those kind of questions. But also, you can go to JeanettePeterson.com/missing piece. And right now, I'm doing a weekly webinar talking about how to fully integrate God into your business, because some of those foundational pieces doesn't matter what level you're at. Like you need to understand how to incorporate the Holy Spirit and God into your business so that way you can scale. And so that's really the first piece is that missing piece. So JeanettePeterson.com/missing piece.
All right. Well, we'll make sure that we get that in the show notes so that way you guys can go find that. And, it's so parallels that we talk around here about the CEO daily meeting with God. I believe that no matter how busy your day is and how many tasks you have to check off and how many team members you have or don't have, the most important time that you will spend and the most important, I don't even call it a team player, but, person for you to meet with is the Lord and to really, take
Amen.
those things before him and yeah, with him right? That's where we see the exceedingly abundantly beyond what we could ask or imagine. And there's always an abundant ROI when we're doing it with him. So I love that you're bringing that missing piece in because it's very easy. I feel like for me, for a long time, I was a Christian, right? And I would spend time with Jesus and then I would go to my office to do my business. And it wasn't
Hmm.
this like bringing him, like you said, this missing piece
Yes.
with me into everything I do. So it shifts everything. So, well, thank you. You guys know around here, we don't finish things when we say goodbye on the podcast. we take this conversation over into the Redeemer Time community because I truly believe like this can't just be something that stays in your head and sounds like a really great idea. It's got to be something that we start implementing or taking action on or asking questions around and getting support. So I've invited Jeanette to come join us over inside the Redeem Her Time community. And I'm inviting you guys as listeners, if you're not already a member, head to redeemhertime.com/community. It's a free community. There's a business directory in there where you have permission to promote yourself any day of the week, because I think that as kingdom builders in our businesses, we can and should be talking about our business and not just on one day in one comment so you don't get blocked. Like I think we should be sharing and connecting with others and seeing how we can serve each other. So come on over to the Redeemer Time community, come engage with Jeanette, bring your questions, like this is where you can really get access to her and to me, and we can help, point you in the right direction for what God's calling you to. So thank you so much, Jeanette. It's been really fun to hang out with you. And it was fun because I got to be on your podcast recently, and I love getting to bless each other's audiences. So as we're finishing up today, I love this because you and I are recording this kind of right here at this point where like we're about to start a new year. So as you think about this next year, where are you wanting to invest time in this next season? And then tell me like, what's your ROI? Why? Like, why does it matter to see a good investment on that time?
I think that where I want to spend time is with people more
Mm,
because I feel like God has really been calling me to steward the Deborahs, the people that are going to be changing the trajectory of business online. And I just want to be with them. I want to pour into them. I want to encourage them. I want to show them what kingdom business really looks like from a biblical perspective. And that's just where I want to be. I just want to be with other women that are really on fire for God and just want to bring the kingdom focus, kingdom mentality to business. That's
I
where I
love
want to
that.
be.
And no matter how technologically advanced things get and how much online wants to automate everything, there's still that personal touch piece and that connection
Yes.
that I think God has called us to. So all right. Well, Jeanette, I'm glad that we've connected and that you're going to be continuing to pour into us over in the community. So thank you for being here today. And you guys who are listening, share this episode with a business bestie or a few. Like, who do you know who's like saying, okay, I'm ready and I want to go to this next level, but what does it take? This would be a great episode to share with them because this is going to help you know where to focus your time so that you can increase your ROI and start really seeing those numbers go up in your bank account as we head into a new year. So thanks, Jeanette. Appreciate you and appreciate everyone being here today.
Thank